So being in the SMMA industry for the past about 2.5 years has taught me so much when it comes to actual show-up rates and actually the importance of them, right? I've seen countless guys who just don't take any of these points I'm going to mention, and they will literally lose tens of thousands of dollars, because if you even increase your show-up rate by 20-30% over the long run, that's worth even potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next few months for you, right? So I've actually made and compiled an entire 2-hour-long video in my actual program, and I'm literally going to compile the top key points I'm going to mention right now over the next 10 minutes or so, whatever, how long this video is. And some of my top students, for example, Logan, who we actually filmed the client interview in Dubai at the Dubai Client Retreat, which I hosted a few weeks ago, he actually has a 80% show-up rate right now in his agency. So I'm actually compile all the actual top key points and actual things you have to mention. And after you watch this whole video, I guarantee you that this whole protocol is literally going to boost your show-up rate by at least 20-30%. And also, not to mention myself, I actually discovered some of these systems in the first actual few weeks of actually running these from my old mentor I learned from. And I actually implemented these, and I was literally having an 80+% show-up rate without any crazy automations or anything like that. And also, I completely understand how it feels to have a shitty show-up rate, because no matter how many meetings you book, if you book in like 20 or 30 in a week, if you only have like 40-50% show-up rate, you're absolutely cooked and you're missing out on literally so much revenues. And I know actually how much pain that is, because I've had it where, people will ghost me for multiple, whatever it is, multiple sales calls in a row, and I'm just missing out on a bunch of money. It's so painful. You're sitting there like, why the fuck am I even booking meetings if no one's even going to show up in the first place? Anyways, let's get in the video. So the first one that pretty much no one actually thinks about is actually sending out personalized voice notes on the day of. So I was actually talking to a media buyer who spent $80 million in Facebook ads, and he said this was the literally #1 trick that actually increased show-up rates, is actually sending out personalized voice notes, or also on top of this, videos actually before the sales calls at the start of the day, right? So you could have a team member do this, or obviously when you guys are first time, which probably most of you guys are, you don't have too many employees, or probably just yourself, where I was also where everyone starts. You honestly, all I want you to do is just send out personalized voice notes. Make sure you actually send it from an iPhone. If you guys have an Android, stop being a broke motherfucker and actually buy an iPhone, please. And it's actually been proven that people who have iPhones have higher body counts than people who have Androids. Just want to mention that. But anyways, another reason why you should actually buy an iPhone as well. But I just want to mention, when you send a blue message on iMessage to another to another iPhone, this is obviously for the North American people. I know European guys use WhatsApp and stuff like that, but it's so crucial that you do this, because it just builds so much trust and a bit of, I wouldn't say authority, it's more just like trust. Because when you put in this much effort early on, that is establishing so much just like goodwillness and professionalism at the start, right? Because if you guys have a shitty pre-call sequence and you're just not professional, it doesn't seem like you care about at all, imagine what that's gonna happen to the client's mind. In the back of their mind, they're thinking, okay, if this guy is not giving a fuck about me or not caring at the start, and there's no professionalism in a sales process, how is his service delivery gonna be like? How is his actual working with this guy gonna be like? If it's all messy at the start, I don't want to work with this guy, because that's actually one of the biggest things that's also going to influence your close rate as well, is also the professionalism of, and actually how smooth you are, how smooth the process is, right? If you guys are just sending out, like your emails just look super sloppy, that's going to literally subconsciously sabotage themselves, because they're going to be like, okay, I don't work with this guy, his emails are sloppy, and he just doesn't seem that trustworthy, so why would I work with him? Imagine what the service is going to be like. It's probably going to be even more sloppier, right? Because end of the day, all that really matters to the prospects is if you actually care or not. This is also when it comes to clients. If you actually give the perspective that you care and you actually put in the effort, they're going to show up to you guys as sales calls, right? If you guys just don't give a fuck and you just treat them like another number, they're not going to care. They're just not going to show up, right? Which actually leads me to my second point, which is actually increasing the perceived value of the actual sales call itself, right? So for example, this is actually one thing I did, right? So it's obviously, you guys know the Alex Mosley value equation, where it's obviously perceived value, where it's obviously dream outcome, perceived value, and then effort sacrifice, and also time delay as well. So what I need you guys to do is increase the perceived value of the sales call, right? For example, would you no-show a sales call with Alex Mosley, or even just a call with Alex Mosley? No, you obviously fucking wouldn't. I don't think anyone on the planet would actually no-show him, because why? You have to ask yourself this question, because there's so much perceived value attached to the actual sales call. Because if you show up to the call, you're more likely to get to your dream outcome because of the things he's going to tell you, the value he's going to provide to you. So you need to understand the root core driver of these actual prospects. For example, realtors or roofers, they obviously want to get more clients, and you need to increase the perceived value of them thinking in their mind that you're actually going to get them more clients after showing up to the sales call. That's the end of the day, because end of the day, all that sales calls is you just talking to clients and them seeing, okay, could this guy get me clients? Can I trust this guy? Am I even thinking in my mind that me even wasting my time or even going up to the sales call is even going to give me the possibility of me getting more clients? Because if you don't give them that perspective that it's worth their time, they're just not going to show up, right? So one way to do this is actually increasing social proof. Obviously, if you guys don't have any social proof, that's totally fine. What you could do instead is actually just use massive conviction, and also increase more perceived value to the sales call, right? Like I said, I've said this multiple times. but it's actually mentioned, for example, on the cold call, if you guys are cold calling up realtors, let's say, right? Let's just say that you call them up and right after you book them in, I want you to mention, hey, well, what we could do also as well is actually do a free Google review campaign and also a database reactivation, right? I'm not going to charge for this. I'm just going to do this complete for free. And what this is going to do is going to increase more perceived value to the actual sales call, right? It's also actually going to remove their suspicion to you just wanting to close them, right? Because you're just giving up free value, right? The more free value that you actually provide, then the more trustworthy you are, right? This is why Alex Hormozi is one of the top guys in the space right now, is because everyone trusts him and everyone likes him so much, right? If he had the chance to go into anyone's company, like at least in our stage, every single person would say yes, because there's so much free value he's already given out and he's established so much authority in that free value being very, very valuable, right? So what you need to do as well, and actually take this example and actually use it in your own agency, is actually do free Google review campaigns, right? Give out a bunch of free Google review campaigns to prospects. Just don't even have to do it on the sales call. You can just mention the cold call and then do it after they actually sign up as well. And if it doesn't work out, if they don't close, you could just do it anyways, get a good testimonial, get more social proof. They could even potentially refer you to other clients or whatever you want. Like there's lots of possibilities that could actually come out of this. And also another thing to actually increase perceived value is actually doing social proof about the free thing, right? For example, if you guys already have this in place, you can say, oh yeah, well, after you book them in on the cold call, you can say, oh yeah, well, actually one of the actually, John, who showed up to the free implementation call, all he did, he actually showed up and we actually did the free Google review campaign. And actually what happened is he actually became the top realtor ranked in his area on, Google review. And now he's getting a ton more clients. So I'm more than happy to do the same. And we could have a little chat. I could set up all up for you for free, blah, blah. So what this is doing, you're actually giving social proof, which is actually going to increase the perceived value of actually them getting more increased perceived value of the actual call, if that makes sense. So you're literally doing social proof of the sales call, right? It sounds kind of weird, but it actually works very well. This is one thing that's going to massively boost your show up rate. Also, another thing as well is just sending out a pre-call video, right? So and this is actually going to be pretty much more actual, I'd say honestly, like the close rate is going to be more influenced by this. But what you need to do is actually make about a 10 to 20 minute long pre-call video, which I call like a back-end VSL, which is actually going to instill a bunch of limiting beliefs in the prospect where it's going to seem a bit complicated of, how the whole, they can't do this on their own and stuff like that. And you need to position yourself as the authority and the expert, right? So another thing you can do is also give social proof and your background history, what you've been doing, how you even got into this industry, or what you did before this. You don't have to go too long of a story, but just mention what's going to happen on the call, the social proof, your case studies, what the outcome, the benefits of the whole program are. Like there's lots of things you could do. And one thing you could do is actually try to position yourself as so much of an authority and actually instill a bunch of limiting beliefs and fear and pain into the prospect by them not actually showing up, right? For example, you could do storytelling, like dream outcome based or hell based storytelling. For example, saying like, one of your clients, they were struggling for months on end and they finally, got this listing client acquisition system and they started closing a ton more deals, blah, blah, right? And then you can also say people who just aren't going to show up to this call are literally going to stay in their exact position as they are and never ever change their life, right? And just stay at those one listings per month kind of thing and only making, 10, 20K a month. You have two options. You could either show up to the call, you get insane results and we can actually give you a bunch of free stuff, or you could just not show up to the call, don't get anything, don't change your life, not my problem, right? Maybe don't say not my problem, but that's one thing as well. Now, this is actually step 3, which a lot of guys watching miss out on a ton, is actually calling the prospects up beforehand. This actually comes down to the first one I mentioned, which is actually the personalized voice notes, right? All this comes down to is the root idea of you actually caring, right? There's obviously you reminding them, but if you actually give them the perspective that you care, then they're going to obviously show up and probably close as well, right? If you call it multiple times, this is also going to build a lot of rapport as well, right? You can also mention, one thing what they did recently. If you check to the Facebook, say, oh, how was that, Cubs game you went to, blah, 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 on the actual call, right? And you want to say, hey, just want to make sure we're good to go. I'm speaking to a lot more people in your area, which is going to increase the scarcity and competition and social proof, by the way. And all the businesses are just like psychology and I wouldn't say manipulation, but it's a lot of just to do with influence and stuff like that, right? So you want to actually establish the social proof, scarcity, and also urgency. Hey, I'm actually speaking to a bunch more guys in your area as well. Just want to make sure I don't want to give any other spots to you because I know I spoke to you first. I just want to make sure you're actually good for Monday at 9 a.m., whatever it is, right? So this is going to actually increase the rapport, social proof, scarcity, and also urgency. So they're going to be like, oh, fuck, this guy's speaking to other competitors in my space. I don't want him to, go to those other guys and my competitors do better than me. So I'm actually going to show up to the call because I'm going to be the first one to actually speak with them. So I actually want to sign it before other competitors do, right? So there's a lot of things that's actually going on there, which is very, very good to do. And actually Sam Will, who was actually just in Cape Town with like last week, they actually used this exact system and pretty much all these points. And they actually scaled from 0 to 50K per month cash collected in the first 95 days of me actually mentoring them in the real estate niche, obviously. And we were doing a lot of these systems as well. But now they're actually doing, I think they're actually going to hit 100K a month in February, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it was a good time in Cape Town. But anyways, back to the video. So next thing is actually naming naming your Calendly, it's a very small thing, but actually naming your Calendly as a listing acquisition intro or something like that. Like, you don't want to say discovery call or demo call. You want to say fancy words. You want to see like it's like a something that they could be excited for, right? If you say, oh, discovery call or demo call, like they're just not going to care. If you say 30 new clients in 30 days, like that could also be a good thing for specific people, like, I don't know, or 30 appointments in 30 days, whatever you want to call it, right? So that's one very, very small thing, because if you sound like everyone else in the market, once again, your perceived value is going to drop because you don't have anything to stand out, you don't have any value proposition, and then you're just going to get no shot, right? So next thing is actually sending out personalized looms the day of. Now, this is obviously a lot of time. Now, we could also set up certain automations for this. I actually set up an automation. I was actually thinking of doing it, but I actually kind of have it on mind where as soon as they book in a call, obviously the automation will go off a day before, 24 hours before, or 12 hours before, send an automated personalized loom to them where you're actually scrolling down their website or their LinkedIn, say, hey, just want to make sure we're good to go for the selected time. Very excited to talk to you. And then you could also say, say a few things when it comes to social proof or more scarcity, urgency, and talk like that. So there's tons of other things you do when it comes to personalized looms, but I honestly personally never really implemented this. I just know other guys have done it and it's actually worked out very well for them. The main things that I was doing was just personalized voice notes or text, and also calling up beforehand, and also just some good emails, right? If you guys have bad emails and you just see them come up as like sloppy, they're just not going to show up to call, right? So the next point is actually having that confirmation email in place. So when it comes to actually specifically them adding it to the calendar and them clicking yes, because what happened, Google recently, they made a few changes sometimes where it happens where if they book in a call, it might not show up on their calendar, or they might not just, get the reminders. Well, they will actually still get reminders for it, but it might actually not show up to the calendar, right? So what you need to do is actually say, hey, just want to make sure you actually click yes on the confirmation email. It's going to be a Google Calendar, blah, blah, and then it'll actually show up on the calendar, right? This is more for guys in the online space. I feel like realtors and, roofers don't really use Google Calendar, but it's kind of just a small thing as well. Obviously, if you guys are in different industries and stuff like that, but mainly for SMA local lead gen guys, which is the audience and everyone pretty much here, that's definitely what you want to be doing. And also, it's on to the next point. So I'm actually going to get back to slope soon, but on to the next point. So I also want you guys to do is actually be omnipresent, right? So when you are obviously booking them in within the same day, you could probably follow them on Instagram, follow them on Facebook, follow them on LinkedIn, follow them on whatever other social media platform you guys think of, right? As much as you possibly can, because especially if you have social proof on your Instagram page or Facebook page or LinkedIn page, right? If you follow them and they're going to check out your page, and they're also going to be like, okay, this guy's actually cares, right? Which is going back to the first point, which you actually give them the perspective that you actually care, right? If you do this, then you're going to increase your trope rate by quite a lot, right? If you also send them text messages on all the platforms at the same time, that's also going to help a lot. Now, when you do this, do not under any circumstances send the exact same message, because this is just going to piss them off, right? You want to say different approaches, different angles, different messages always, because on different platforms, because if you just spam them on every single platform, they're going to get pissed off, and it's actually going to do way more worse than actual good, because it just seems like it's just automated, it's not personalized at all, and you're just pissing them off, right? So that's also one massive thing I would do, is actually literally just follow them on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and just start shooting them a few messages, right? Especially if you have social media, as your social proof on your social media, right? So that's one thing I would definitely implement as well. Me personally, I didn't really do too much of this. I just know I've given us a few guys a mentorship, and it actually helped them out a lot. So what I want you to do right now is just implement every single thing that I mentioned in this video. If you guys don't implement this, you're better off just not watching the video, because it's just pointless information if you're not going to actually take action on it, right? So please just implement all these things I just mentioned. Now, there's also a lot more systems you guys can be missing out on, especially if you're under 10K a month in your SMA. So if you are like just struggling in SMA with bad systems, or you might even think you have good systems, but you just don't actually realize them, right? Coming from my perspective, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing? You have lots of systems that are completely off, and you need to start to build in way more better ones. But obviously, if you guys are struggling in SMA, I just took a bunch of guys who I'm mentoring recently out to Dubai, and we actually filmed a bunch of client interviews there. For example, Fabricio went from 0 to 10K cash collected week in the first 3.5 weeks of actually becoming a mentee of mine, right after I started mentoring him in his agency. Also, Logan as well went from 0 to 14K per month in the first 30 days of actually joining. Same as Jonny and Olly went from 0 to 10K a month the first 2 months. And I was also just Sam Will, who went from 0 to 50K a month in the first 95 days of actually me mentoring them as well in their SMA. And also, if you look at a bunch of others, I scaled Kihua and Kenan from 8K per month to 47K per month in the first month and a half of them actually joining after I started mentoring them. Or if you look at Tarik as well, who was literally struggling an entire course for an entire year, making 1K per month after an entire year. So in the first 13 days of him actually joining my mentorship, I scaled him from 1K a month to 10K per month cash collected in Stripe. So, I mean, there's a bunch of other examples. I don't want to get into it, but obviously you guys are interested. You guys want to join the client retreats as well. I'm actually hosting the next one in Cape Town, probably in Norway as well. All you guys have to do is just check out the case studies below. If you guys want to book in a call, it's all good. Totally all good if not. You guys could also message me on Instagram if you guys want to ask questions about me mentoring you, mentorship, or just overall SMA related questions. Happy to help you guys out. But yeah, that's kind of it, guys. I love you guys so much, and I'm gonna actually get back to some skiing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.